fury. Let's not waste any time. Let's cut right to the chase. Take a look at some of these visuals, ladies and gentlemen. Life in the national capital has completely been thrown out of gear. I'll tell you why. Why that is because the river Yamuna has breached a 45-year-old record. It has breached that danger mark. That danger mark was towards the higher side of 206 meters. Last night it was 207 meters, and today that record has been broken. We're looking at 208.50 above mark. The Chief Minister itself, he's been visiting various flood-prone areas, taking a look and taking a stock of the situation, and he himself has to say only one thing: he did not expect it to become like this. It hasn't rained per se in the national capital, if I'll be honest with you, but the fact that the Hatni Kund Bridge barrage in Haryana has been releasing lakhs of cusecs of water, and the torrential rains that we saw over the last weekend in Himachal, in Uttarakhand, in Punjab, parts of Jammu and Kashmir as well, completely inundated. The extent of damage is so high, and these are visuals that you can see in the national capital. National capital, ladies and gentlemen, Delhi does not even get that kind of rainfall, and already in 2 days the quota of July's rainfall was already over. The outer ring road, which appears and happens to be essentially the heartline of the national capital when it comes to transportation, it's completely blocked. You now have boats that are doing the rounds in the national capital. Take a look at these visuals. The water level is way above the danger mark. The SDRF, the NDRF, they've been deployed. The authorities have been pressed in action. They really weren't expecting anything like this. 16,000 plus people have been evacuated, and that's a number that possibly has already gone up. I'm sure the authorities are still trying to deal with the repercussions of this hefty flood. These visuals on your screens are of the authorities, the media personnel over there, of course, trying to catch a glimpse of the situation and trying to speak to people, the police officers, the SDRF, the NDRF, the Chief Minister himself, and also, there are specific visuals coming in from civil lines. Take a look at these shots that have come in from civil lines. Now, in civil lines, which appears, happens to be this posh area, you've got, major people from the authorities staying there. You've got major politicians, some of the major politicians staying there, some VIPs, key institutions that are placed in that area. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ गरीबों के लिए मुसीबत है, अमीरों के लिए भी उतनी ही मुसीबत है. They might be enjoying pakoras from the balcony, like you can see here, even as the camera zooms in on this one family, from the comfort of their balcony. They're still appalled, as to what has happened in Delhi. I mean, civil lines completely flooded. Varghese, you and I were just looking, across the window where we could see the embankment area, which was completely dry yesterday. I mean, you can barely see it anymore. That's how how high the level of the river Yamuna is right now. Just before we get a little information from Varghese, Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, he's visited flood-prone areas, and it's important to note here that the water treatment plants. Now, the problems don't just end here. यहीं पे सब खत्म नहीं हो गया कि पानी चला जाएगा, पानी साफ हो जाएगा तो चीज़ें बेहतर हो जाएगी. That's not what it is. The water treatment plants, 3 of those have been shut down, which essentially means that water supply in the national capital is going to be hit. The supply is going to go down by at least 30%, is what sources are telling us.
So but there is no water, you're marooned, and of course...
Water everywhere, not a drop to drink. That's what the situation is going to be like. Of course, we're exaggerating. There is going to be drop to drink. But, from little kids trying to make the most of these puddles and swimming pool-like situations and areas, there are a lot of bacteria, there's a lot of disease that also gets, transferred via water. There are some waterborne diseases as well, malaria, Delhi's particular campaign against malaria, Arvind Kejriwal's campaign against standing water, of cleaning water, cleaning their coolers up. It was a proper battle against malaria. And now this particular stagnated water is going to give rise to, well, God knows what kind of insects in the national capital. But that's not even the least of the concerns right now. This is a drone shot of the civil lines area. Civil lines, Varghese. Look at the swanky looking houses towards the left side. जैसा कि मैंने कहा, सिर्फ गरीबों की प्रॉब्लम नहीं, इस समय मुसीबत अमीरों की, गरीबों की, इस समय मुसीबत इंसानों की है. But needless to say, nobody was expecting this. Let's not even talk about Arvind Kejriwal right now. How about we listen into what the Chief Minister had to say? He's been visiting various, flood-prone areas and flood-affected areas. Let's listen in to the reactions coming across from major stakeholders.
अभी हम लोग यहाँ पे वजीराबाद वाटर ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट पे खड़े हैं और पहली बार दिल्ली में यमुना इस स्तर पे पहुंची है जब 208 पॉइंट, अब तो मेरे ख्याल से 6 भी क्रॉस कर 6 से ऊपर है, 6 से ऊपर है। और इस लेवल की पानी पहुंचेगा ये कभी सोचा नहीं था। तो अभी 3 वाटर ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट हमारे वजीराबाद, चंद्रावल और ओखला, 3 वाटर ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट बंद हो गए हैं इसकी वजह से, बिकॉज पानी पंप्स के अंदर घुस गया है, अंदर मशीनों में घुस गया है। और जब तक पानी कम होगा उसके बाद उनको मशीनों को सुखाया जाएगा, क्योंकि बिजली से चला दिया तो करंट आ सकता है, और उसके बाद पानी दोबारा शुरू होगा। लगभग 25% दिल्ली का पानी जो है वो इसकी वजह से कम हो जाएगा। ये काफ़ी ज़्यादा है। और इसके अलावा बहुत सारे रिवर प्लेन्स में हमारे वो भी चलते थे, ट्यूबवेल्स चलते थे, वो सारे ट्यूबवेल्स भी अभी फ़िलहाल बंद हो गए हैं, उनका भी पानी कम हो गया है। तो 1-2 दिन पानी की काफ़ी किल्लत रह सकती है दिल्ली के अंदर।
दिल्ली के जो वाटर ट्रीटमेंट जो बंद किया, जिन्होंने आपने बताया, इससे जो दिल्ली वासी है, दिल्ली की जनता है, उनको कितनी परेशानी होगी सर?
मैंने बताया कि मैक्सिमम 1.5-2 दिन तक, मुझे उम्मीद है कि कल शाम तक हम पानी शुरू कर पाएंगे, काफ़ी कर पाएंगे, कल शाम तक शुरू कर पाएंगे। क्योंकि केवल पानी कम नहीं होना, पानी कम होने के बाद उनको मशीनों को सुखाना भी पड़ेगा, ड्राई करना पड़ेगा, उसकी सारी तैयारी है। जैसे पानी कम होगा मशीनें सुखाने का काम शुरू हो जाएगा, लेकिन इसके लिए जनता को तकलीफ होगी, जनता को उसका सामना करना पड़ेगा।
Well, so what do you make of that particular statement from the Chief Minister?
Kabir, 2 things are there. One is that we are going to probably have a drinking water shortage. That is probably we are staring at it because of the pumps being completely shut. What he says is correct. When there's so much of water, and you need to first dry the machines before, otherwise there could be possibility of short circuits and electricity passing through the ground. So that is something that he has actually spoken about, and it might take 2 days for water supply to be restored. But then the chaos that it has created also, especially is it's mostly for those who have been living on the flood plains, the embankments, and they are the ones who have actually had to move. Now this is a very iconic visual.
And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why, Varghese, because look towards the right sides of this particular visual. Okay, just keep on, just let it play and look towards the right sides of the visual. You have people that are walking on these, the boundary walls of, well, it is a boundary wall of one of the either of the buildings, and that's how they're traversing through. This car, it's gotten stuck now, and traffic jams, traffic snarls is a big and a huge problem. Thankfully, because of the torrential rains, now people are little worse. They know, they're checking the weather updates before heading out, and usually people with 4-wheelers aren't necessarily coming out. जिन लोगों के पास साइकिल है उनको तो इधर से जाना ही पड़ेगा, and they will have to wade through this pretty much thigh high deep water. Bikes are getting stuck, traffic is completely coming to a halt. This is the level of Yamuna. It's pretty much as high as the bridge. Take a look at that. There's some construction going on for a bridge, and the level of water is as high as that. The staircase is also being affected, and it's not just this. You've got the Delhi Metro that's taken a massive hit. Yamuna Bank Metro Station, there was a latest tweet by the DMRC that has said that please don't come to Yamuna Bank Metro Station. It is completely shut right now. The authorities are still trying to deal with the situation over there. But traffic jams, I'll again ask the control room to play some traffic snarl visuals. Take a look at the traffic jams that we have. It's appalling to look at how the city, the national capital, it's the capital of India, that suddenly comes to a standstill.
Well, those visuals in fact say everything, isn't it? you have a water blockade, and then you have water logging, and then you have a huge blockade. Vehicles are not going to take that plunge because of course water will enter into the vehicle, and therefore they don't want anything further to do with it. And the other option is to wade through that water, and this is one option to do it, is to walk through the boundary lanes of the buildings that are close by, so that you can actually reach some kind of ground. But this is exactly what is going to happen, because people are going to find it very difficult to commute today. Many of them might be, especially those who could go ahead with work from home, they would actually be happy to have that work from home option. Also, as you were also pointing out, that it is not the poor who are affected. A huge section of people in Delhi have been affected, especially in areas that we consider to be upmarket also has been affected, and there is no other option but to wait as of now.
There's another great visual.
For
you
the
know
water
what, you know
to
what,
come
Varghese, that really explains the story. There's a rickshaw driver, because in the flooded waters, again requesting the control room to play that shot. There's a rickshaw driver that is in flood in Yamuna. It's amazing to look at those visuals. I mean, I just simply don't understand that, how can a situation like this come about in the national capital? And everybody was talking about it. Then why didn't, the authorities come out and help? 16,000 people, is that all? Is that all? I mean, all the reports suggest that 60,000 plus people have been evacuated. That number could be higher. It could be double. But is 30,000 all the people that we had that were living in these low-lying areas? Quite a drier road over here.
But then you can just see how
just wait for the
contrast.
Just wait
yes.
for the camera.
Now the parallel road to
pan.
that highway expressway, we can see how it has been complete. So
as good as a lake. It's as good as a lake. And that particular meme that's doing the rounds. You remember Arvind Kejriwal back in the day when he was talking about, मैं दिल्ली को झीलों का शहर बनाना चाहता हूँ, मैं इतनी सुंदर सुंदर झीलें लगाऊंगा यहाँ पे. That he's being trolled on social media as well for that particular statement. Well, now you have not just the one lake in the national capital. You have plenty. We've already seen boats on the roads in Delhi. Have you ever seen a situation like this? I mean, I don't remember anything like this. Of course, I wasn't even born when 1978.
None of us were born when 1978 happened.
But have you ever seen a situation like this in the national capital or heard about it? Of course, we'll learn about the repercussions of this.
See, there was always, when it came to the national capital, there was always this bulletin that goes on saying that the Yamuna was flowing at this level. It is flowing at the danger mark, just below the danger mark, or just above the danger mark. But this, in fact, is an eye-opener, saying that how much of urban flooding we are now prone to. Why urban flooding happens? Because we tend to have our construction activity inside the floodplains, and water has its own natural level that it seeks, and that is how it tends to flow into the floodplains first, because that is where your natural drain and your natural sponge of soil is there to absorb the water, and the river's natural course is what it is following, and we tend to have put our construction and our roads just next to those embankments. And
look at that car, Varghese, look at that car. I mean, we saw the cars take a swim in Himachal Pradesh, and we'll show you the visuals of then and now, what happened in the mountainous region and what's happened in Punjab, in Sutlej, the only bridge that is connecting Firozpur to its nearby places. That bridge has been washed away. But look at that. Can you even see that scooty, that two-wheeler? Can you even see it? If you open this truck, I mean, trucks are supposed to have huge, large tires. And this man right here, I don't understand. I mean, if he's having the day of his life, or if it's a problematic day for this guy, but he has a smile on his face, and it's like the submersible that people are talking about.
Have you heard that?
Is that an e-auto? Is that
it looks like it's a rickshaw driver. And see, for people who are from that group, especially those who are poor,
look at him. He's enjoying as well. So for no matter this is a crazy anomaly, like a situation, never has this happened before, but also have to give it to humanity that even in the most difficult of times, people gather the courage, muster the courage to let out a smile. I can't be speaking the same for the owner of this car right now, I'm sure, Varghese, but I mean, it's such a catch-22 situation. Some appalling visuals, You know it's dangerous. You're feeling bad for people, who are having to go through these tumultuous times, suffering through this, torrential rains. Now without homes, what are they going to eat? Where are they going to stay with their families, their little ones, their young ones? Traffic is taking a hit. People are getting late to various places. Somebody might be getting late to a party, but another person might be getting late to the hospital. So, apathy in full, clear public display. But at the same time, phones are coming out, selfies are being clicked. People are enjoying their teas and pakoras veranda पे बैठ के गरम गरम चाय का मज़ा बारिश में ही समझ में आता है. How are you looking at this?
Well, that is for those people who don't have water entering their homes. But for those people who have water entering their homes, it is a very difficult situation. Whether water is 1 inch or knee deep or waist deep or neck deep, if the damage is the kind of damage that we're going to see is going to be quite there. And as you were pointing out to that car where it's going to be a big insurance claim that you'll have to make. You'll have to in fact clean out the entire system, and a lot of vehicles are going to have. I was also reminded about when you were talking about the rickshaw driver. There is a huge section of people for whom, according to the Queen's Band song, the show must go on. They have to, in fact, fight across these natural, calamities or this natural disasters that would happen. They have to, in fact, go beyond it because they have to ensure that they get the money for the day. So they have no other choice but to go and ensure that they try to mitigate their situation at now. But for a lot of people, especially in Mayur Vihar Phase 1, had to move from the embankments. There was only their neighbors to help them, and each one had to help each other when they were pushing out from those locations. And as of now, it looks like it just exposes the very fact that when it comes to Delhi also, how vulnerable Delhi, the national capital, is to urban flooding. We've seen similar kind of situations in Chennai. None of the metros are safe. We've seen this similar kind of situation way back in Bengaluru as well last year. So none of the metros are safe. So there is something wrong with our metro planning. We are not factoring in the possibility of the rivers swelling up. We're not factoring in the possibility of cloudbursts. We're not factoring in the fact that our drain networks are not working. One part of it is true, that we cannot, handle the natural part of it. That is, when the water in River Yamuna is in fact on the rise, it is going to be quite a difficult situation. But there are other issues where we can look. There are cities that have planned well, where floods have been under control because of the kind of drain network they have. And probably this could have been mitigated, but as of now, we don't have that infrastructure to mitigate a flood like this. This just exposes the fact that construction activity in any city has reached the sensitive zones. Over here, especially when you talk about Delhi, it is about the banks of the river Yamuna. As the river passes through the national capital, it is the banks that have become vulnerable. The floodplains of Yamuna, we know that the floodplains are the places where
the Red Fort, Varghese, the Red Fort, iconic place, thronged by hundreds of tourists every day. This road leading to Kashmiri Gate, my alma mater as well. I pretty much took this road every day for a good, part of 3.5 years. Take a look at this road. It's
waist deep.
Waist deep. I mean, you could probably do a full freestyle, stroke on this if you swam. And it's gushing down as well. And I can also understand because there's a flyover right up ahead if you look at it, which is going towards the Majnu Ka Tila. It's going towards Rohini, that entire area. And again, a major key road, let's not forget. And this is the situation right now. That's the Red Fort. And children are, getting out, they're swimming. I mean, I enjoy the fact that, children are getting out and swimming, trying to, keep their minds away from all the damage that this flood is doing. I mean, children are also young. They don't necessarily know what's happening, what water is good to play in, what water is not good to play in. But then again, it's a swimming pool like situation. Why go to a water park when the entirety of the national capital is a full-blown water park?
These are very testing times, especially for the residents in Delhi. some of them might be not having memories of 1978, or some might be having memories of 1978, especially from the generation. But I think this is more than this for them. And hopefully the weather doesn't play spoil sport by adding to the misery and adding to the inflow of water into the Yamuna. That is something that we have to be careful about. But again, the government seems to be monitoring, and
the government is already in a meeting right now, Varghese. Just to tell the viewers as well, the DDMA, which is Delhi Disaster Management Authority, is meeting over the situation in Delhi due to the rise in water level of the river Yamuna, and that meeting has begun at the Lieutenant Governor's Secretariat. Arvind Kejriwal has said that I would like to request people to not step out if it is not essential and resort to work from home. This is an appeal coming from the Delhi Chief Minister, who's already said that, as per the CWC prediction, the peak of river Yamuna's water level will reach by 3-4 p.m. today. So another 3-4 hours till we see the peak. This water level, the record breach, it is going to get more high from here. 207 point some minuscule meters was the earlier record of the year 1978. Look at that building, completely inundated. We earlier showed you that those visuals of the girl looking from the bridge, down on the shanties, the entire settlement that had entirely submerged in water.
I think we need to wait and watch. We need to see how things are going to pan out right now, and of course monitor the situation. The floodplains that we are talking about seems to be the most vulnerable parts of this entire system, the basin of the river, and a lot of people have been already evacuated from those sides. But since you're saying that the peak is yet to come when it comes to the flow in the river, it speaks volumes of the situation that we can see in Delhi. There's going to be more floods, more traffic snarls, a lot of people going to be stuck in different places. It's going to be a really a bad situation within the national capital.
Again, giving the viewers a latest update. Those who are joining us right now, this is the situation of Delhi. Those who are with us, let me tell you that the Delhi Metro Rail Corporation has tweeted out the latest information. This as of 12:10. But essentially it says that due to the rising water levels of the Yamuna, trains are passing through all the 4 metro bridges on the Yamuna river. So these 4 metro bridges of different areas going from one place to another are moving with a restricted speed of just 30 kilometers per hour as a precautionary measure. And let's not forget the Yamuna Bank metro station, which is again a huge changing metro station. It's supposed to be one of those stations where there's a proper dock for all these trains to go and get cleaned, get serviced. There's a maintenance repair shop. Is Yamuna Bank metro station because of the area. But then again, that has completely been flooded, and no trains moving over there. There is overflowing in the Yamuna. Water treatment plants have been shut down. Drinking supply is going to take a hit in Delhi. My estimate suggests, from what I am picking up from my sources, is that it's going to go down by 30%. 30% of water supply taking a hit in Delhi is a major hit.
It's a major event, in fact. Because water supply is what normally gets hit first when there are floods like this, after which we know that some of the goods could be a problem, especially essential supplies that need to be stocked up in case people are in areas where the flooding is quite intense, and of course a lot of people should make towards higher ground if there is a still flow of water, and if it is somewhere waist deep already, they shouldn't take the risk of staying back there. Very challenging situation for the people of the national capital right now. And as we speak, Kabir, and you were saying that the DDMA is holding a meeting, it's going to be a tough situation to handle once the waters recede as well. Remember the slush we were talking about? Remember the kind of garbage and other things that are going to accumulate? All this is going to happen, and those whose houses are already flooded, that's what I said, if it's 1 inch of water or waist deep of water, knee deep of water, whatever comes in, it is going to be quite difficult, because for them also a lot of soil will be getting into their homes, and it's going to be a tough task to in fact go ahead and clean in the next 3-4 days. But right now it looks like the SDRF and the fire force personnel are already on the ground to help out people who require that help. They are coming in with their motorized boats, and in some places places they have their airfill boats that are getting people who are stranded from those locations. And I think right now what we can see is that there is some kind of activity already when it comes to the people being somehow protected. But this is one of the biggest flooding situation that Delhi has probably seen.
Why is this happening? To tell the viewers, to help them understand, well, Delhi shares its borders with Haryana, number one. Northwest India has seen heavy rainfall from Saturday, that's a point, including in the basin states of the Yamuna. Now, while Delhi recorded heavy rainfall over the weekend, 153, again a record-breaking 40-year-old record that was broken in terms of rain, and 2 days later, a 45-year-old record that was broken in terms of the danger mark in the river Yamuna. Now over the weekend, and the city has not seen a heavy spell since then, since the weekend's torrential rain, but the water level in the Yamuna is determined by the release of the water upstream from the Hathni Kund barrage, which is in Haryana. Now the release, which is usually around 352 cusecs in the non-monsoon months, hit a peak of 3.59 lakh cusecs on Tuesday on account of heavy rainfall over the northwestern India. It remained at this level for 2 hours, according to the Central Water Commission, the CWC. Now, what can happen if this water is not released from the upstream? A barrage cannot store water, unlike a dam. All right, ladies and gentlemen, a barrage cannot store water. It's like a stopgap measure, right, Varghese? It's not a dam. It can only regulate the amount of water released downstream and to its canals and various irrigation lines. Areas upstream, including Haryana, have already been witnessing flooding. So it's a catch-22 situation. It's not like Arvind Kejriwal is calling out the Haryana government. It's a fact that Haryana has let out that water, and for rightly so, they were facing their own kind of flooding, and torrential rains hit Haryana as well. So Yamuna crosses the 208 mark. It's a 45-year-old record. Thousands have abandoned homes. 16,000 people have been evacuated. Water supply is going to take a hit. Water treatment is going to take a hit. Take a look at that visual. For some, it's merrymaking, but for most, it's a real grim picture for the next couple of days. Even as we're looking at by 3-4 p.m. is when Yamuna and the water level in Yamuna is going to hit that peak. But it's not just about Delhi, ladies and gentlemen. It's not just about Delhi. We'll also talk about what's happened in the entirety of North India. Varghese, what do you want to pick up first? Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Punjab. We've got some visuals from Jammu and Kashmir as well. What do you want to go to first? I
would want to know what happened in Himachal, because in Himachal we've seen the kind of torrential rains that have
Let's play those shots out. Let's play those visuals out. In Himachal Pradesh, just to tell the viewers, these are visuals coming in from Mandi. The destruction that the ravaging Beas, the seas, the rivers that have left behind, beg your pardon, the Parvati river, across Bhuntar, across Kullu, Mandi in Himachal Pradesh, Shimla, of course. The damage, the extent of damage that it has left behind is appalling to look at. Rupees 4,000 crore. Rupees 4,000 crore.
That's an estimate right now. I think it will be more than that.
The first estimate. Yesterday, Himachal Pradesh Chief Minister, he was taking the rounds. He was in his chopper trying to take the stock of situation, and that's because there is no way you could set foot on land. And these are just homes that have been destroyed. Some shops, hundreds of homes, buildings that have completely collapsed and gone down and got washed away. Buses, cars, huge trucks, military grade trucks that went for a swim, because that was the sheer velocity of the river. Some rescue operations that are taking place. Again, it's easier for me to joke here, sitting here in the studio, that's free of cost adventure sports happening, but the situation is real tough in Himachal and Uttarakhand. Some reactions coming across from major political stakeholders. The Chief Minister, I believe so as well. Let's quickly listen into those and we'll come back.
तकरीबन 4,000 करोड़ से ऊपर का नुकसान हो चुका है। प्रशासन की सतर्कता से बहुत हुआ है। ये मानना है कि इस प्रकार की त्रस्त, इस प्रकार का बारिश का कहर 50 साल में पहली बार देखा गया है। बाढ़ कई बार आती है, लेकिन जितना संपत्ति और संपदा को नुकसान किया वो बहुत ज्यादा है।
कितने लोगों के फंसे होने की संभावना, कितने सैलानी फंसे हैं, कब तक सिचुएशन नॉर्मल हो जाएगी?
8,000 पर्यटकों को हमने निकाला है। 10,000 जो पर्यटक फंसे हैं वो अपनी मर्जी से जाना चाहते हैं।
All right, so it's interesting to note here again that even as we're looking at these rescue shots and other damage visuals, we'll also in fact show you the then and now of what was when the torrential rains happened and what was the situation like just a day or two after that. And even as we're showing you those visuals, it's important to note what the Chief Minister said. The Chief Minister said that 60,000 people have been evacuated. He was, in Manali, in old Manali, he was, on the ground, making sure that the authorities are also, since the Chief Minister is on the ground, you'd expect the authorities and the executive to be, on their feet, on their toes. And that's why they decided that people will leave Manali before we start letting people come back into Manali. And 60,000 people have been rescued, have been evacuated from these tourist hotspots where they were essentially stuck. Many had to let go of their trains and flights that were booked, well, because hundreds of trains were cancelled.
None of the local transport also was able to reach them. Many of the places, the bridges have been washed, or roads have been washed. There we can see how the mayhem it has caused by one of those roads being completely washed out. This is another location where we can see how the boulders have come in crashing down from the mountain areas, and it has come crashing down straight into the embankments of these areas. These huge boulders that have flown along with the river. It was so challenging out over here, and you can see how it's going to be very difficult to in fact clear these things, and we have to wait and see how situation is going to be, because what we understand here, especially when it comes to Himachal Pradesh, is that there is a huge impact, and it's a huge loss when it comes to the infrastructure there. Several roads have been washed away, several bridges have been washed away, a lot of tourists were in fact stuck, and this is good enough to say that first they're giving priority to those who want to leave the entire place. Later they can look
because they're the ones who don't belong there. They're the ones who are
they're the ones who are going to have trouble. What he said is correct.
That's again a major national highway that we were speaking about as well, Varghese, that has completely given way. Now the course of the river has also changed, because like I said, again quoting Bruce Lee here, one has to be like water. Water waits and stops for no one. You put it in what kind of container, it's going to take the shape of that container. And the minute the water is more than the container will not be able to hold it in, no matter what you do.
Well, you can see how much of that road has been washed away. The river was running its course parallel to the road, is what I assume, and you can see now the river has just taken most of that road and has reclaimed some of its area where it was running its course.
I like the use of reclaim here. Again, Mother Nature trying to fix herself back up is what people are saying. Some are blaming the torrential rains. Some are saying that this is just climate change happening, and day by day we're just getting to that point where the earth is going to get so warm, and these extreme weather events are also, let's not forget, Varghese, becoming a little common. So commercialization, the kind of exploitation we're doing of the resources that Mother Nature has has to offer for all of us, we really need to pay more heed and respect more as to what we're taking from nature and how much we're giving back, because we'll get exactly what we're putting back in.
That's the concern. But all these ecologically sensitive zones we are building, we are bringing in human populations, and again, look at these visuals. These are drone visuals of what exactly. Where is the road, Kabir? There is no road. That entire road doesn't exist anymore. The river has claimed that portion completely. You don't have a portion to in fact have. The road was supposed to be hugging towards the hills and moving straight ahead, and it doesn't exist anymore. What you see is the river.
It would be no surprise if that big tall building structure towards the left side of the screens now maybe towards the right side, since the drone shot has
they would have said that they were very close to the road. They would have advertised, if it's a hotel, they would have advertising they were next to the road. Now what would they advertise?
Watch Riverview Hotel. Now it's just River Hotel, isn't it? But away from the jokes, let's take a look at what's happening in Uttarakhand as well. Several landslides and rock slides, that happened in Uttarakhand and Uttarkashi area. When you've got roads caving in Himachal Pradesh, you've got houses completely collapsing. You've got landslides and rock slides in Uttarakhand. That's the situation in Uttarakhand, the neighboring mountain state.
Again, over here, it's the small streams. You know, these are small. You know, seasonal streams. They have turned out to be much
Dangerous when they look,
right?
yeah.
Especially when the rains are coming in. And these in Uttarakhand also, I think it is the same. This is visuals coming in from Uttarkashi. These small streams have become, you know, heavy streams, and they have almost cut through the population centers in these areas as well.
Why just Uttarkashi? I mean, let's take a look at what's happening in Haridwar as well. We've got Haridwar. Again, these are visuals from Haridwar. Haridwar is one of those, you know, religious places. A lot of people, you know, throng this particular city in the mountain and hill state of Uttarakhand. And Haridwar, you can see the development, see the commercialization in Haridwar as well. I mean, no wonder. That's because people are, you know, constantly going there. People trying to enjoy. No traffic rules being followed. Well, why would you follow traffic rules? You'll follow traffic rules once you can see the road, right? You don't even know where you're headed.
Yeah, Haridwar. I mean, it's the common man, and then you have the pilgrims who are also stuck in Haridwar, trying to make their way through. I think this is when the river is a little more calmer in this area, as we see right now, because you can see the pebbles and as well as the riverbed showing up. However, the city seems to have been completely drenched, and it has been completely flooded. Again, a case of urban flooding that's been
The Kanwar Yatra is on. Sawan ka mahina hai, Sawan chal raha hai. You know, I'm talking to everybody in the office as well. People have their own dietary restrictions. सब कह रहे हैं हम ये नहीं खाएंगे, अभी सावन चल रहा है, अभी इसमें ये नहीं करेंगे, अभी इस तरीके का उपवास है. You know, it is a religious portion of the monsoon season, and a lot of ardent Shivji bhakts step out on this journey, and this is again a test of their true faith. They're going on this journey, they're carrying on with this journey, carrying that holy water with them.
Well,
These are visuals from
this is also dangerous. This is Chamoli, but this is also dangerous, Kabir. Even after this landslide, you see the boulders are still loose. There is more water that is there accumulated. So there's a possibility that it could further, slide further down as of now. So it's a very dangerous situation. The people traveling through such routes also will be facing, especially in areas which is prone to landslide, they'll be facing these kind of loose soil that is going to be there, which is going to be a mix of soil as well as boulders as well as stones, and since the water would keep soaking up, it tends to loosen the soil that is keeping them as one structure, and that's why we see it sliding further down. In
Uttarakhand as well, a lot of people visit the higher up in the mountains, in Kasar Devi, Jageshwar. These are prime spots in Uttarakhand, Almora. If you're coming a little bit back down, you've got Pithoragarh towards the Nepal border, and these are aloof places, places that people usually throng to, still have support and relief material, but places that are little aloof, little far-fetched, you don't have those kind of services there. Hence, travel becomes utmost
travel is going to be a very, very
like you could still see the cars standing behind in this particular visual as well. Towards the left side of the screen, you can see a whole line of buses, cars, and tempo travels that are still waiting. And well, fortunately, they weren't traversing this particular path when the landslide happened. We saw what happened in Nagaland. That was also because of rains and landslide. We saw these landslides keep on happening. And just like the HP Chief Minister was talking, Himachal Pradesh Chief Minister was saying that landslides and flooding is not something that's uncommon in what do you call it, Himachal Pradesh. These are visuals of Chief Minister Sukhu in a particular relief camp in Himachal Pradesh, when he was trying to take stock of situation of the people over there. What are they getting to eat? Are the arrangements that have been made for the people who are in these relief camps, is it up to the mark? 60,000 people have been evacuated from Himachal Pradesh. 10,000, the Chief Minister says, are still here because they are voluntarily wanting to stay back. I don't know why anybody would want to stay back. Maybe they don't want to travel. They'd rather keep still, at a higher point, not in a low-lying area. It's ironical that you're looking for a higher point on a real high mountain already, but you're looking for that high point. They're going to want to stay there, stick stick their ground over there for the next couple of hours, maybe days, let the situation, get a little better, let the roads get a little better, get more information essentially of what's happening where, what kind of roads are blocked where, and then head towards their, destination. That's also a smarter way of approaching this, isn't it, Varghese?
It is a smarter way of approaching, but at the same time, what worries me right here, Kabir, is that a lot of places have been cut off and they are isolated. Now, look, earlier you saw how the visual shows how, the complete intensity of the flow of the river that you can see over there that kept washing away these roads, and then you can see the aftermath of it. You can see how that curve has been taken. Again, it's the river.
And the river is as high as the level of the road, and to the right sides of the screen where the situation has now been, the river has come down. These are visuals of Manali. Again, take a look at the amount of crowd that is still there just a day or two after the torrential rains.
I think this is going to be etched in the memory of a lot of people. They are going to find it very difficult as well when they in fact see the kind of, look at the before and after visuals.
This is Mandi, Varghese.
Yeah, this is Mandi, and you can see how much of water has receded now from what was flowing earlier. At the peak, you see it has covered the temple completely, especially its lower side of the sanctum, I think. And then when the water recedes, you come to know that the temple is actually on a rocky platform. This is a stark
Monsoon
contrast.
mayhem in the
It's
north.
a complete stark contrast of what actually is happening.
Torrential rains, and it's not just Himachal Pradesh or Uttarakhand. We also have Punjab and Haryana who are dealing with these torrential rains. It's the aftermath there for us to see. Take a look at that. The landslide is happening over there. Bus is waiting, and of course these are a little old visuals. We're showing you the visuals just a day after the torrential rains, and that's the situation right now. The road is blocked completely. We were talking about how these small little earth movers that you can see in this particular visual, there you have it. 3 of them standing together and collectively looking so small in front of the magnanimity of this, rock slide. How long is it going to take? That's the only question that comes to my mind. It's going to take them ages to get this road cleared and, up and functioning again.
It's going to be a very difficult task because you can see the amount of boulders as well as soil that has been there.
And the area to work is so little.
It's too little, and you'll have to slowly do it because the ground, you don't know whether the ground under your feet is also stable.
Patient job, boss. Patient job.
It is a patient job.
यहाँ पे ये भी देखना बहुत ज़रूरी है कि कितने सारे पत्थरों का size बहुत बड़ा है. So you'll have to first break them down and then transport them. These earth movers can't pick up huge size, monoliths.
No, they have to break it down, and therefore you would see most of these they need not be excavators, but they can also be boulder crushers, and it's going to take a long time. And remember this visual that we saw about how the truck was, tossed like a tin can when it came to this particular section of Kulu. We did see how...
What a great backstroke the truck is doing, right? That's a great backstroke, by the way.
Well, I don't know about the swimming aspect of it, but it shows that the intensity...
If the truck is moving so fast, imagine if a human body was inside this particular moving flood water. This is, I think, the Parvati River. I beg your pardon if I'm calling the river out incorrectly. This could be the Beas as well. This could be the Beas. Well, my control room tells me it is in fact the Beas. Now, the velocity of the Beas, if there was a human body inside this particular river at this given moment, how fast would it reach its destination point, the river basin, where all the all the tributaries come and connect. And this car, not the backstroke, this is the freestyle stroke, Varghese. But apart from the jokes, Varghese, the sludge, the concrete-like sludge that you were talking about as well, that once the water had gone down, once the water got evaporated, whatever it left behind, metal, hazardous pieces and chunks of metal, tree trunks, broken logs, pretty much anything that came in its way, and huge piles of sedimentation of soil that you can see. The entire car, I think that's a proper full-blown hatchback that you can see now is clearly submerged, not under water but soil and dirt.
Yep, this is what a lot of people will find when the waters recede, especially in these areas where there has been heavy mix of soil with the with the river, and as it flows, they tend to bring in the soil, and it's been there in areas where this intense thing has been seen. So I think it is going to be a very difficult cleanup act for them, and this cleanup act is going to be carried out by those people alone. When it comes to the situation, they'll have to take help as well to get all that soil out of their homes. But here, this just shows the aftermath of it. Do we have more visuals on, what's the situation in Punjab?
In Punjab, essentially, there's a bridge that connects Firozpur. That's the visual that we are showcasing.
Okay.
This is Firozpur in Punjab, and this particular bridge is the only way that connects Firozpur with its nearby areas. And this bridge, I mean, essentially, it's not possible to carry out and on with this bridge.
Bridges are the first thing that gets into trouble, especially when there's flooding in the river. And a lot of these bridges have been washed away in many places as well. Even in Punjab, Kabir, reports have been coming in that several bunds, that, those small check dams that are constructed have also been breached, because of which the water has been moving through some of the finest fields for wheat, and that has been a long concern. There have been attempts by the government to shut the breach of these bunds, but the intensity of the flood was such that most of the bunds, especially in some places, the bunds are exposed to almost 200 feet. So it's going to be a big task for covering up these bunds as well, and acres of field have been underwater in both Punjab as well as Haryana.
So this particular bridge, Firozpur bridge, that has been swept away, it's not the only bridge, and the river that has led to this particular bridge collapse is the river Satluj. Now Punjab, naam se hi Punjab, पांच आबों की बात हो रही है. So it's the land of the 5 rivers. And how can you not expect the situation to go a little awry in the land of 5 rivers when the entire northern India is reeling under torrential rains? How will the government now react to it? Bhagwant Mann, from day one of the torrential rains had said that, we need the army to come in over here.
Well, because the only way to look at these challenges is to have a trained force to deal with it, because otherwise it's going to be quite an overwhelming task for the local authorities as well. They can only identify the places where help is required, and probably what the Chief Minister of Punjab was saying is that only a group of trained people can be able to deal with the situation here. And of course, we are going to look at several places where the agricultural destruction has taken place in Haryana as well as in Punjab.
Right.
I think my memory was right, 1.4 lakh acres of fields are underwater in Haryana alone.
I spoke to some farmers yesterday itself. These are visuals that have come in from Haryana. Just look at that. I mean, it looks beautiful to look at, but so dangerous. You don't want to be in the middle of it.
Is the water being released from...
Is that the Hatnikund barrage? Well, I'm not sure. I'm not going to corroborate that for the viewers right here. But essentially, that's the situation. The flow from upstream, what I was suggesting, what I was telling the viewers as well, this is the reason why Yamuna is in spate, because there's so much of water that's coming from Haryana, and there's nothing that Haryana can do, because Haryana face their own problems. They also face heavy rainfall. That's the water that is being released, and all this water, it's in fact coming towards the national capital. We're running out of time here. The death toll, of course, has risen. Let's hope that it doesn't rise to amounts where we're forced to again come back and talk about how the government and the administration should have foreseen something like this and should have acted a little more promptly, little more swiftly. We're showing you visuals from across the north of India, from Delhi, from Punjab, from Himachal Pradesh, from Uttarakhand as well. These visuals coming in from the national capital. These are visuals from Himachal, where rescue operations were on, and some of them are still on. There are proper NDRF, SDRF boats that are doing the rounds in the national capital. In Uttarakhand, rock slides, landslides, they're pretty much very frequent. These are visuals from Haridwar, completely flooded. Not a lot of tourists here, and we know how religious Haridwar is essentially. Kanwad Yatra is something that is also on. We're amid the Kanwad Yatra. A lot of Kanwad Yatris on their bikes, and many of them barefoot, traveling and traversing the entire path with the holy water, the weight of the holy water, the weight of their drenched clothes, and the weight of the artifact as well. All of that is something that we need to take into account. Chief Minister Sukhu, Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami, Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann, Chief Minister Manohar Khattar, and of course Arvind Kejriwal, even as the Delhi Disaster Management Authority is in fact in a huddle right now with the Lieutenant Governor, trying to figure out what's going to happen next. Let's hope that good sense prevails. Our authorities are swift enough to take the action, and we're hopefully going to see a better tomorrow. But जैसा मैंने शुरुआत में कहा था, ये सिर्फ गरीबों की प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, ये अमीरों की भी प्रॉब्लम है, ये इंसान की प्रॉब्लम है. That's the Red Fort, where kids are enjoying a full swimming pool bonanza. I'm sure Akbar also maybe did not have a swimming pool this large back in the day, Varghese.
Well, I think you have gone through memory lane from this particular visual, and do you think we have to just leave it for the audience at that? Probably many of them who had passed through that road will also
like I told you, I mean, I did for the longest time. My college was right there. 3.5 years took that very road and civil lines as well. We're going to leave it there, ladies and gentlemen. Many thanks for joining with us. For those who have commented, liked this particular video, we appreciate it a lot. Lots more coming right on the other side. We're going to give you a full update on what the chief ministers have had to say and what has transpired at that meet in a short while. That's all the time we have for you. Varghese, many thanks for joining with us. This is Kabir Naqvi signing off for News 9 Live. Keep it with News 9.
Gautam Adani, one of the richest men in the world, or a business honcho, accused of manipulating the market.
अदानी जी 609 नंबर से दूसरे नंबर तक कैसे पहुंचे? सिर्फ एक सवाल पूछा, नरेंद्र मोदी जी, आपका अदानी जी से रिश्ता क्या है?
He has given the space, the railways, the airport, which he has no experience also. So the country's interest has been compromised.
Government has been very clearly supporting few industrial groups, including Adani's industrial group.
Target Adani, streaming now.
Now, migrant voters has been a problem before the Election Commission for a long time.
78% of domestic migrants possess a voter ID card. Of these, 60% fail to cast their votes.
Now, why political parties have not really paid attention to them is because, you require people who are static, living in their homes, to be able to target them to your prachar and propaganda.
The Election Commission has proposed a voting mechanism to help these voters vote from wherever they are.